Hello everyone, welcome to part 14 of this ongoing series on operating systems. So in this video we'll be talking about the various structures of operating system. So when we talk about operating system, it is like quite large and complex, and hence while designing it we must be careful with the design as well as the implementation. So instead of like having a monolithic structure where all the code is like put in one huge function, it is better to have like separate functions or separate modules to perform some specific kind of operation. So that is like a better way because it helps in like maintaining the code also. Like it would be better to have like smaller modules because maintenance would also be like easy. We'll just like talk about the various types of operating system structures which we have. So there are basically five types of operating system structures. We have like a simple structure, we have layered structure, we also have microkernel approach of designing operating system structure, and then there is this modular structure, and also we have a hybrid of all these structures. So we'll go over each of these structures in detail. So when we talk about simple operating system structures, these kind of operating systems are designed with no well-defined structure basically. So here we won't have modularization. So there are like no modules present here. All the code related to this operating system is like dumped in at one place. So there is like no, if you like consider for an example MS-DOS, this is an example for an operating system having a simple structure. Here, if we like consider this dual mode operation where we have like user mode as well as kernel mode, there is nothing as such, and because of this particular thing, user programs will be like able to directly access hardware. So this point is like a problem here. So if user programs can access hardware directly, then it makes the entire operating system vulnerable because if at all user programs crash, then the entire operating system can itself crash because now we have like direct access to hardware. So this is like quite dangerous here. When we talk about the second type of structure, which is like the layered structure, so this is much better when we compare it to the previous structure, which is like a simple structure. So in case of layered structure, we have the operating system code, which is broken into like smaller appropriate pieces. So each of these piece of code would be called as a layer, or we can like also call it as a level. And here, modularization of code is possible because we are breaking the code into smaller appropriate pieces here. So we are actually modularizing the code basically. So here, how the structures would be, how the layers would be structured is basically the bottommost layer would be the hardware layer, and as we move above, the topmost layer would be the user or the application programs. The best part about layered operating system structure is that the lower layers will provide some like functions, and the upper layers can only use those functions which are provided by lower layers. So how this is helping is basically like there won't be a direct connection between the topmost layer and the bottommost layer. So for example, the topmost layer is the user layer, the user programs and the application programs, and the bottommost layer would be the hardware layer. If there is a direct connection between these two, if there is like a if there is a possibility where this user programs can directly access the hardware, then that's problematic. So a layered structure would basically have multiple layers between the user layer and the hardware. So we'll just consider for an example, like the design of this operating system has like, assuming we'll have four layers. So at the very top, we have the user programs, and below two layers, we have like some kind of operations, and at the bottommost, we have the hardware. So how this layered structure is like avoiding direct access of user programs to hardware is basically whatever hardware we have, it will provide some kind of like the layer which is just above that hardware layer can directly access the hardware, but the layer which is like above this particular layer would be only able to like use functions which are provided by the bottom layer. So it won't be able to like directly access the hardware layer. So it can only access the hardware layer by making use of the functions which are provided by the layer which is below it. So by using this layered structure, it is possible to have some kind of like restriction in which the topmost layer and the bottommost layer, there is like no direct connection. So when we talk about the various advantages which this layered structure offers, so the first thing is simplicity. So here the layers are like designed in such a way that the top layer can use only the functions which are provided by the layer which is like just to the bottom of it. So there won't be like a direct access between two layers. I mean, there would be direct access between the adjacent layers, but not between layers which are like separated by many like layers in between. And the second advantage is basically having a better debugging capability, because here we just like have to debug one layer, and when we debug one layer, we would be sure that all the layers which are below it are like fine. And if at all debugging one layer, say like layer X has found some issue, then we can be sure that all the layers which are below layer X are fine, and the issue can be like in this layer, or it could be also yeah, it is basically meaning that it is in the like current layer only. So there is like a simplified debugging as a result of having a layered structure. The third point is there is abstraction which is provided. So upper layers, they need not know like the implementation of the functions which are provided by the layer below it. So the upper layer only has to know how or what that function is doing basically. So we need not like know how that particular function is implemented. We only need to know what that function is doing. So these are some of the advantages which are like provided by a layered structure. But we also have some disadvantages of this layered approach. So the first disadvantage is basically having to design these layers. So it is quite challenging to design these layers, because we'll have to like consider all the functions which are provided by a layer, and only then we'll be able to like design the upper layer. Because the upper layer can only use the functions which are like provided by the lower layer. So designing all these layers would be challenging, as we have to like consider the functions which are provided by each layer, and then we'll be able to like design the upper layers. And also this layered approach is quite less efficient, because assuming we have like the topmost layer, and this topmost layer is trying to access the bottommost layer. So now in this case, the topmost layer would basically use the functions which are like provided by the layer just below it, and that layer will again call functions which are provided by the layer just below it, and it keeps on going until we reach the bottommost layer. So here, this is like quite less efficient, and also once we like call functions of the lower layer, there might be some kind of like changes which would be required to the parameters which we are passing from one layer to another layer. So we'll have to like keep on passing I mean, we'll have to keep on continuously calling the functions, and we'll also have to change parameters as we like go down. So these are like two disadvantages of layered approach. The third type of operating system structure is this microkernels. So as we know, this kernel is like the major component of the operating system. And as these operating systems grew, the kernel also became like more complex. So since kernel became more complex, handling kernel was like becoming more challenging. So there was this micro kernel based approach which came into picture, wherein all the non-essential like components from the kernel code were removed, and they were like pushed to the upper layers. By upper layers, we mean the user programs or the system programs, which are like above the kernel mode or the kernel layer. So this would result in having a smaller and much better kernel code, because now the kernel code will only have the essential components, as all the non-essential components are moved to the upper parts. So the kernel, now since the kernel is having like a smaller code, kernel will have usually like this process related, memory related, and communication related services, and all the other services are now moved to the upper layers. So here is an example of microkernel architecture. So if we see, we have this user mode here, and here is the kernel mode, and then there is the hardware. So all these are the microkernels, and these are like application programs and the various services which are like not in the kernel mode but pushed to the upper user mode. So if we consider an example of how this microkernel architecture works, assuming this application program needs access to one of the files in the file system. So there is like no need of direct interaction of the application program with the file system service. So they can do so by making use of this microkernel called IPC. Like this inter-process communication microkernel would basically help in facilitating some kind of like message passing system wherein this application program will be able to like use the files. So there is like no need for having a direct interaction between the service and the client program. So the advantages of microkernel approach, yeah, as I said, the client program and the service won't have like a direct interaction. And if at all we need to like add newer services, then in that case, we need not modify the kernel, but we'll only have to like modify the user space, which is quite easy when it is compared to like modification is like modifying the kernel mode. But even if there is like any kind of modification which is needed in the kernel mode, that can also be done, and that modification would be like quite simpler because we aren't modifying the entire kernel in this case. We are only modifying the microkernels basically, which is like a much smaller part when compared to the entire kernel code. And microkernel approach is basically more reliable because since all these services are now like pushed to the user mode, even if these services like fail, they won't have like a direct impact on the operating system. So what I mean is operating system won't crash whenever like these services in user mode, like whenever they crash, the operating system won't crash basically. So the operating system would be like more reliable in this case. So those are like some of the advantages of microkernel based operating system. The fourth approach is basically having this modular structure. So by modular structure, we mean that the kernel, so kernel would have some kind of loadable modules in this like approach. So kernel, since it is like the major or like major component of the operating system, so in this approach, kernel would have some core set of services, and if at all we need to add some additional services, we like add it as as loadable modules basically. So we can like have modules and we can load it to the kernel during runtime or during boot process. So regarding this boot process, we'll deal with it in the like coming video. So here, how this modular approach is working is basically we only have to like write down modules and then just link those modules to the kernel, and this would actually have a benefit of like not needing to like recompile the kernel every time a new service is added. We only have to link the new service to the already existing kernel. So this is like more efficient when we compare it to the previous two approaches, like the layered approach and the microkernel approach, because there is no need to like have a recurrent function calling basically, and also there is no need to have this message passing kind of system. We only have to link an additional like service to the already present kernel. Yeah, here is an example of the Solaris kernel, and all these are loadable modules basically. The fifth type of operating system structure is nothing but a hybrid of all the like previous structures. So this is a combination of different structures which we discussed previously. It could be like a combination of the monolith structure with some like modular components, and we can like make use of layers, we can make use of like some microkernels and also loadable modules. So we can adjust all these and we can like try to optimize performance as well as achieve better efficiency here. So that's it I had in this video. Thank you for watching. In the next video we'll be talking a bit about system boot.